There are many Milford Sound Tours to choose from, and yes, at Lux we are one of them. But for today's video we're going to put that aside and focus on 10 things that can help you when choosing which Milford Sound Tour to take. Did you know that about 800,000 people travel to Milford Sound every year? And in the peak of summer, around January-February, that number is about 4,500 a day. Now of that, about half take a tour. And here's the 3 main reasons why we think that you should take a tour. Number 1, you can sit back and relax. Everybody, including the person who would have been the driver in your own vehicle, can enjoy the scenery. The Milford Road is notorious. Let an experienced tour guide and driver take you through the Milford. Number 2, you're going to get all the best photo locations, stops and even toilets. Some of the ones that you won't find on Instagram or Google, the ones that your local guide is going to know. And number 3, it's better for the environment when we travel together in a group. Vehicles such as this, the Lux coach, a 12-seater, yes, they emit a little bit more emissions than a typical car. However, there's 12 of us. The emissions are spread out a lot more even. We're used to seeing a lot of people, couples or maybe 3 or 4, travelling in one car. So let's get into the other things to be aware of when choosing a tour. Number 1, we do 20 stops along the Milford Road. Let me tell you, near on impossible and really not enjoyable. The return drive from Te Anau plus a Milford Sound cruise is 6 hours, and that's with no photo or toilet stops. By the time you add in that many stops, you're really going to be hustling through them, let alone if you do it from Queenstown, which is 8 hours of driving plus a 2-hour cruise.
If you want to experience locations such as this that will be hard to get to, you need up to 30 minutes just for a single stop.
Here at Lux, we recommend about 12 or 13 stops as being the sweet point where you can spend enough time to actually enjoy the environment that you're in without having to move on to the next one too quickly. Number 2, where is your local guide from? It is very important to understand that Queenstown is not local to Milford Sound. It's 288 kilometres and at least a 4-hour drive away. Anybody who resides in Queenstown is not a local of Fiordland or Milford Sound. Nobody lives in Milford Sound apart from a few caretakers and workers in the area. So a local guide would be considered someone from Te Anau, the town which the majority of Milford Sound workers reside in. A guide from Te Anau understands the area and knows where all the beautiful stops off the beaten track are. At photo stops that are very popular with visitors, some will stop at the most obvious place, and some will stop at more quiet and private parts. Number 3, what time should you depart? If you are touring from Queenstown, your departure time is going to be somewhere around 7 AM with a return time of about 9 to 10 PM. If you're travelling on a tour from Te Anau, you're looking somewhere between 8 AM to 10 AM for a departure and returning around dinner time, perfect to head over to the restaurants. Tours from Te Anau to Milford Sound tend to be a lot more relaxed, and we see this reflected when we look at Google online reviews or TripAdvisor reviews and what people say when they travel from Queenstown versus Te Anau. And put simply, it's because you have that extra 4 hours up your sleeve from Te Anau to Milford versus Queenstown to Milford, so you can actually enjoy what you're out there to see. This is a tricky one, isn't it? And so how do you know? Well look, we're a tour operator here at Te Anau and Milford Sound and we know the margins. From Te Anau you can expect about 180 to 240 for a fully guided 8 to 9 hour day tour. Some may be around 260, but they'll typically include lunch or some other special part of their package. For Queenstown, you can typically expect to pay around $270 to $320. Now when it comes to small group tours, you might pay about $20 to $40 extra, and that's basically because you have less people in the vehicle, but also the guide is a lot more attentive, more personal service for you, and can answer a lot more questions and take you to a lot more places in the same day, compared to a larger bus. One big tip we have for you, and a guest experience manager picked it up recently, is there's a lot of tours out there talking about the quality of their premium seating in their vehicle, but they only show exterior photos on their website. If you're not confident of what you're actually paying for, then make sure you ask for a photo. Number 5, the scenery is pretty much the same no matter the tour you are on. Here's a hot tip for you. The scenery and the mountains don't tend to move during the day. and they don't really change from tour to tour that are going to be within range of each other as they head into Milford Sound. Here is a view from our tour coach in the Cladell Valley, just before you descend into Milford Sound. And here is a view from in front of another tours coach beside us. So our tip, don't let this one worry you. Number 6, what type of vehicle does the tour operate? You have a choice between a large group tour and a small group tour. A large group tour is going to be on something like a typical large size bus with about 40 to say 55 people. A small group tour will be in something like this, around 10 to 20 people at the upper end. Now we actually have an article on this, I've linked it below in the video for you, to compare large group tours and small group tours. Always check that the vehicle and seats are in good condition. Again, if you're not sure because you can't see it on the tour's website, make sure you ask for a photo. If you're paying for premium seating, you want to make sure you get it. Make sure that it has good air conditioning and heating units. And remember, you are going to spend at least 8 hours in this vehicle. It's important that it's comfortable. Number 7, we have Wi-Fi on board. We suggest just being a little bit careful about choosing a tour because they advertise Wi-Fi. Sure, there are some good Wi-Fi spots between Queenstown and Te Anau, but basically as soon as you leave the boundary of Te Anau to head into Milford Sound, of that 120 km stretch of road, only about 10% of it actually has access to Wi-Fi. Number 8, you might miss out with booking sites. Online booking sites like TripAdvisor and Get Your Guide are great, right? We can filter tours on location, price or previous customer reviews. There's a couple of problems though. They are quite limited in what the tour operator can actually offer. I'll give you an example. Recently we signed up to TripAdvisor at Lux Tours, and after a few bookings we quickly recognised that the guest wasn't actually getting the same experience as if they were booking with us direct. The reason for that is TripAdvisor is quite limited in what you can actually add on as a tour operator. Things like lunches or other tours, or maybe some goodies in the vehicle that you're travelling in. We weren't able to add any of that. And so for those guests, we had to go back to them direct and basically rebook them. They lost a little bit of experience through those sites. Something to consider with online booking sites is the way they get paid is they take something like a 15 to 30% commission rate off the tour operator that you're booking with. So our overall tip is to always check the tour operator's website, and if you feel comfortable to do so, book direct with them. Not only are you helping the tour operator and supporting local, but you're also going to get the best experience with the most packages, maybe even some deals that are on the operator's website. Many visitors dash into Milford Sound and dash back out without actually staying and enjoying everything that Fiordland National Park has to offer. Things like the Te Anau River Caves, Doubtful Sound, jet boat rides, helicopter trips. There's a lot more to be experienced than just Milford Sound, and there's operators in the local area that have those packages, and not only are you likely to save a bit of money, but you're going to go away with a true Fiordland National Park experience. And the last one, but potentially the most important, is the tour doing everything it can to be eco-friendly and care for the area. Fiordland National Park and Milford Sound are beautiful, and they are critically important to New Zealand and the world's biodiversity, so protecting them is equally as important. There is no hiding as tour operators that we are the largest emitters in the area, but if we can group more and more people into coaches such as this, then we ultimately save. For example, at Lux, we have made a commitment to a 100% sustainability goal. And as an example of that, we offset our carbon emissions by planting a native tree for every single guest that travels with Lux Tours, and that tree goes into the local community. The other thing we do is when our coach returns at night, we break down all of our waste and water, and then we actually move it into compost bins where we have worm farms, and they're breaking down that waste every single week. Look, we understand that we're single-handedly not going to save the planet, but us as tours have a responsibility to care for the area that provides us a place to take visitors such as yourselves. Tourism should be about nature, not nature providing tourism. So there you have it, 10 things to help when choosing a Milford Sound tour. Now we'd love to hear if you've experienced anything else that you think might be quite helpful, something we can write an article or do a video on to help others who are thinking about travelling to Milford Sound. And finally, we look forward to seeing you in this beautiful part of the world.